Today, on this cold Melbourne morning, I would like to chat about willpower as a spiritual quality, a quality necessary for practice of cultivation. Now, willpower can be understood in a worldly way as a ability to do things that need to be done, as opposed to following your whims and preoccupations, or procrastinating, or what is it called, pathological demand avoidance, avoiding doing that which is necessary. Ability to step over one's feeling of comfort and actually step in and do what needs to be done, whether it's study or work or training or self-development or business. So willpower is that which allows us to get things done in a most basic worldly way. Now, this kind of willpower is a prerequisite to the quality of willpower as practiced in the cultivational arts, such as whether they are Eastern, Buddhist, Taoist, or more Western, Christian, Islamic, any genuine path of spiritual cultivation requires developing something deliberately, applying your willpower and stepping over oneself, over one's whims and desires to get goals of cultivation fulfilled, accomplished. So that gap between the worldly willpower and that willpower which we understood as a spiritual quality is the psyche, as the way willpower is used within the psychic sphere. And this is something that is kind of runs contrary to what is advocated in the modern psychology, psychotherapy, psi modalities. Not necessarily psychoanalysis though, but in more sort of mainstream ways of working with the psyche, this is definitely the case. Namely, what it is. So, for example, you have some kind of psychic difficulty, something troubles you in that psychic sphere. Maybe you had broken up, or maybe some loved ones has passed away, or maybe someone betrayed you, or whatever. And that usually it's relational, isn't it? It's other people, and then your reaction to that. And many things can arise in that. That's why psychology is such a complex and difficult and intricate field, because formations of the mind and the psyche are endless. Anyway, whatever arises, the idea is that it needs to be worked through. The causes of it need to be understood. There should be some kind of dialogue taking place, so you can vent out or share your difficulties and understand the causes of this predicament, understand why you experience this maybe difficult emotions, with anger or resentment or whatever, to someone who have left you or betrayed you or caused you harm or anything like that. So that needs to be understood, figured out, maybe released or processed in one way or another. Such that it doesn't trouble you any longer. So you can be again in a kind of jovial, content state of being in yourself, in your mind and heart. And fair enough. That's a good way to go about it. But that's not really how it is practiced within cultivational arts. And that's important to understand that cultivational arts are one step above, maybe more steps above anything worldly, which means it requires a set of skills and qualities that are not there, that needs to be developed. For the common person working through the inner psychic difficulties, it's by all means the way to go. It needs to be done. There was somebody who practices cultivational modalities That's not enough. So for somebody who strives to develop capacity to touch upon something transcended, profound, there needs to be a skill to deal with psychic difficulties quickly, like this, boom. So for example, you experience some kind of a difficult emotional state or whatever, and you are boggled by it. You don't know what to do. It just plagues you. It comes continuously beyond your volition. It just annoys you. Someone did something wrong to you, and it comes back to you. You have resentment, anger towards that person or towards yourself regarding your reactions or whatever. It can be not necessarily anger. It can be sadness. Can be envy. Can be many things. But the bottom line is that it's kind of beyond your control. You can't do anything about it. Just boom, comes to you. It's like what we call in the psychoanalytic jargon as a symptom, something that arises beyond your volition. So the worldly way would be you need to work on it. You need to work with the whatever, therapist, psychologist, counselor, whatever is the psychoanalyst. The cultivator's way would be you stop it. You just stop it. You experience whatever, anger, sadness, resentment. You see it in your mind's eye, you stop it. You cease. You don't do it anymore. You don't engage into those patterns of mental conduct. Now, how you do it? The only way to do it is to use your willpower. If you don't have willpower, it's going to continue plaguing you. You might require weeks, months, even years of therapy to get over it. And some people are stuck in that loop, getting over and over and over, same predicaments, same patterns of thinking, same patterns of emotive reactions, getting stuck in those loops, trying to work them through. Whereas from the cultivational perspective, what they need is develop their willpower, exercise their willpower to stop those mental states. It's like what Buddha said, sometimes in the moments of meditation, when the unwholesome mental states engulf you, you need to grit your teeth and crush the mind with mind. Meaning that you crush the unwholesome mind with the wholesome mind. Meaning that you have, for example, anger, you crush it with non-anger. You can't do it any other way apart from willpower. That's why willpower is such a fundamental quality for cultivation. It goes with everything. Developing the body, you need willpower to exercise. Developing the energy, you need willpower to apply the causes for this practice. Working with the mind, same. You have unwholesome mental state. Perhaps it's recurring. Perhaps it has to do with some whatever psychic trauma. You need willpower to cease reacting to it. Yeah, and that's, as far as I see, is a missing piece in the modern days field of psychology or whatever, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis as well. People would be, especially obsessive neurotics, would be ruminating about whatever stuff they experience in their minds, that whatever arising from the unconscious associations they experience over and over. Well, first is because there is response there is enjoyment to it. The drive enjoys itself through symptom. That's fair enough. There is sexual libidinal investment into feeling those symptoms arising and feeling bad within yourself in conjunction to those symptoms, but there is also enjoyment that's derived from it. And that's commonly missed within the more mainstream psychology fields, how psychoanalysis recognizes it. From the perspective of cultivation, either way, whether you derive enjoyment or not, the bottom line is that your energy and your libido is still invested into unwholesome pattern of mental activity. And you can't drop it in any other way apart from through willpower. How does one develop willpower then? Well, by doing what needs to be done. That's one way. Another way is by abandoning what erodes willpower. And what erodes willpower is habits, addictions, preferences. Addictions obviously is bad stuff. Whatever it is, drugs, alcohol, smoking, sex, video games, pornography, you name it. Food. So-called foodies are addicted to food, to tastes, to the way sensations are produced in their body which are pleasing to them. It's all addictions. Habits. You have some ways of doing things that you are attached to. Same. Preferences. You have your ideas how things should be. You have your views you prefer. You have your patterns of clothing. You have your ways of behavior. You have your traits that you like in others, that you prefer to have around you. And then when they are not around you, or something opposite within your field, you are experiencing discontent at least, or ill will at most, and you're ready to act upon them. All those things, habits, addictions, preferences, are going to erode your willpower, are going to erode your kidneys. When we talk about this from the Chinese medicine perspective, whereby kidneys, gene, essence, and willpower are connected because they have to do with the same system. Preferences, addictions, and habits gonna erode your kidney essence. Yeah, contributing to such things as chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, lack of vitality, lack of energy, whatever. Yeah, that's how people self-sabotage. That's why they then procrastinate. Because once the energy is exhausted and only thing that is left with them is their preference to act upon, and they constantly look for the conditions that suit that preference and don't act upon anything unless this preference is met, okay, their essence is going to be spent. They will experience the decline of health. They will definitely experience the decline of willpower. Well, their willpower is already gone because they can't act upon what needs to be done, instead looking for fulfilling their preference conditions. So all those need to be abandoned in order to develop willpower. Habits must go, addictions definitely must go, preferences, very difficult, but they must go, because in preferences rooted the sense of self very much, especially sense of wounded self. Wounded self is very keen to attach to something that makes it feel good, and then turn that something into epitome of its belonging. Either way, preferences have never been the path of spiritual cultivation. Don't you kind of recognize how all the precepts, laws of conduct, rules, practices are aimed to make you abandon your preferences? Like, if you ever stay in a monastery and there's so many things to do, there is so many things to follow, discipline to abide by, there's no room there for your preference anymore. It's not designed to make you feel miserable. It's designed for you to develop willpower and strengthen your essence so that you can actually undertake the tasks of cultivation. Without willpower developed, you can forget about touching upon the soul or finding the primordial energy, Xian Tian Qi, whatever it is. You can forget about developing mindfulness. You can forget about developing samadhi. No chance. How? If you can't even have your mind under control. How can you teach it to absorb into the unified state whereby profound amounts of energy can be generated? No way. No way. So that's how willpower is, in this sense, as a spiritual quality, a prerequisite to anything you do. So to recap, willpower in a worldly sense need to be developed, then applied in your psychic and mental sphere to control your mind and abandon unwholesome mental states. Then it is applied to develop qualities of your particular system of cultivation, whether these are developing wholesome qualities, developing virtues, and abandoning unwholesome qualities, abandoning qualities rooted in ill will, hatred, greed, delusion, pride. There's absolutely no way to do that without willpower. And the more you do it, the more it trains and develops willpower. Of course, willpower never should be exercised in a rigid, neurotic way, because that's not really willpower, that's another neurotic preference, when you rigidly, say, abstain from something, or whenever willpower is rigidly exercised, it's neurosis. Willpower exercised firmly, with deliberation, with consistency, is a spiritual quality. It's something that's going to strengthen your essence as well. Anyway, just a bit of chat to emphasize how this quality is crucial.